Today, we're going to break down the real cost of claiming Social Security early. If you're nearing retirement or in your early retirement years, this is one of the most important financial decisions that you're going to make. A lot of people I talk to hit or approach 62 and think, I should just take it now, before the system runs out or before something happens. I don't know how long I'm going to live, and even if I don't need it, maybe I'll invest it and do better than waiting until I'm 67 or 70. The point is, claiming early can feel safer. There seems to be less uncertainty, and money today is worth more than money tomorrow, right? If this is you, you've probably heard some variation of the counter-argument for claiming Social Security early. For example, your benefits increase 8% every year you delay, and if you expect to live into at least your early 80s, you should wait to claim Social Security until age 70. This seemingly safer choice of claiming early can result in thousands of dollars in lost income every single year for the rest of your life. But here's what almost nobody tells you. Not only can claiming early result in thousands of dollars in lost income for yourself, but it can significantly reduce what your spouse gets as well in the form of spousal and survivor benefits. I'm a certified financial planner, and I've worked with hundreds of retirees on this exact topic. And what I've seen is that claiming early is rarely about the math. It's primarily driven by the fear of the unknown. And that fear can often lead to costly mistakes. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what really happens when you claim at age 62 versus age 67 versus 70, the biggest myths and fears around Social Security, especially with delaying it, and how to make a decision based on the facts in your particular situation. Let's get into it. Let's put some real numbers on the table, because this is where most people massively underestimate what's at stake. Let's say that your full retirement benefit is $2,000 a month at full retirement age, which is probably 66 or 67, depending on your birth year. Here's how that changes based on when you claim. At 62, that's $1,400 a month approximately, which is a 30% cut. At 65, it's about $1,866 per month. And at 70, it's $2,640 per month, which is a 32% boost. So that's a $1,200 a month swing between claiming at age 62 versus at age 70. And if that doesn't sound like much, try multiplying it. That's $14,000 a year every single year for the rest of your life. And if you live to 85, you've given up more than $250,000 in lost benefits. And yet, millions of people still rush to claim Social Security early at age 62, not because the math says so, but because of the fear. Fear that you'll die before collecting your fair share, fear that Social Security is going broke, and fear that you cannot afford to wait. So let's tackle that first one, the lifespan myth. I hear it all the time. What if I don't live long enough to get my money's worth? And here's what the numbers actually say. The average 62-year-old has a 50% chance of living past age 85, and if you're married, there is a 72% chance at least one of you will live past age 85. In other words, by claiming early, you're betting against the odds. You're locking yourself into a lower income for life, and for most people in decent health, delaying starts to pull ahead around age 80. If you live a little bit past that, you win. And if you live well past that, you win big. But what about the other fears? Let's dig into the one that's fueling the most panic right now. The fear that Social Security is going broke. There is absolutely a valid reason to be concerned about the future of Social Security. You've probably seen the headlines about Social Security Trust Fund, which funds the benefits, is projected to run out of money around 2033. So naturally, millions of retirees think I better grab what I can now before the money runs out. So a couple things on this. First, yes, the trust fund, which supplements benefits, may be depleted around 2033, but even then, it's important to remember that the system won't be bankrupt. Thanks to ongoing payroll taxes from working people, Social Security would still be able to fund about 77% of scheduled benefits, which is not ideal, but it's also not a collapse either. And second, in my opinion, even in this polarized and chaotic political climate right now in 2025, I believe it's unlikely that Congress will allow 70 million voters to lose 30% of their benefits overnight. Why do I say that? Well, Social Security is incredibly popular. A recent Pew Research Center survey shows that Social Security remains the most broadly supported federal program in the U.S. As of 2024, 79% of US adults said Social Security benefits should not be reduced under any circumstances, which demonstrates the overwhelming support across all demographic and partisan groups. So is it really a good idea to lock in a permanent pay cut to your benefits today because of a hypothetical future cut that may never affect you at all? To me, that's not really risk management, it's panic speculation disguised as prudence. And ironically, claiming early can expose you to even more financial uncertainty later on thanks to rising inflation, rising healthcare costs, and longevity risks. But all of this means something if you live long enough. And this is where most retirees can get blindsided. The uncomfortable truth is that most retirees are afraid of dying too soon, but the real danger is living too long and running out of money. This is called longevity risk, and it's the most overlooked threat in retirement because of how much life expectancy and the definition of retirement has changed since your parents retired. So let's put this in perspective. If you retire at age 62 and live until 92, that's 30 years of income needs. So 30 years of inflation eating into purchasing power, markets going through multiple crashes, healthcare and long-term care costs rising unpredictably and often outpacing inflation, and no steady paycheck to fall back on. And if you claim Social Security at age 62, you're locked into the lowest possible Social Security benefit forever. This doesn't just affect you today, it compounds every single year for the rest of your life. Here's an example of how that plays out. Let's say you claim Social Security at 62 and receive $1,400 per month, while your twin, who worked the exact same number of hours in the same job and the same income, again, hypothetically, your twin waits until 70 and gets $2,640 per month. Fast forward 20 years, your $1,400, it's increased with COLA adjustments, but it hasn't really kept up with the rising cost of living and healthcare, and you're struggling to keep up. Your savings depleted faster because of lower guaranteed income, and your costs are higher, especially with healthcare. And your options are dwindling. You can't just go back to work at age 83. Meanwhile, your twin, they have more monthly income, less pressure on their portfolio, and more breathing room during the years when money mattered the most. And this is the true value of delayed claiming. It's not just a bigger paycheck, but a shield against the risks that actually destroy retirements, outliving your money, rising costs of living, healthcare, and long-term care, and the inability to undo bad decisions once it's too late. The tragic irony is the people who fear running out of money the most are often the ones who claim early and make that fear a reality. So the question at this point is how to rationally decide when the best time is to claim Social Security. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. Claiming early comes with its downsides, but how do I know if I personally should delay? Let's walk through a simple framework that I use with my clients to take the guesswork and fear out of this decision. First, assess your health and family longevity. If you're in poor health or have a strong family history of early mortality, early claiming actually might be appropriate for you. But if you're in average to good health and your parents lived into at least their 80s or beyond, you need to plan for a long life, whether it happens or not. It's not just about optimism or pessimism. It's about insurance against the most expensive scenario, which is living too long. Then you need to understand your spending and other income sources. Ask yourself, how much do you need to spend each month in retirement? Do you have a pension income or annuities to supplement your guaranteed income? And what is your withdrawal rate from your portfolio if you find that claiming early would require unsustainable portfolio withdrawals, or if you would need to dip into savings heavily between the ages of 62 and 70, then delaying might be worth taking a pause over. For many, drawing slightly more for savings between 62 and 70 to get a permanently higher guaranteed income later on is a smart trade-off. The third step is to factor in spousal and survivor benefits if you're married. If you're married, your claiming decision doesn't just affect you, it affects your spouse as well. So delaying your benefit increases the survivor benefit your spouse may one day receive. This is particularly impactful if you have a significant age gap between you and your spouse, or if your spouse's earning history is significantly less than yours. So if you're the higher earner, delaying until 70 doesn't just protect you, it protects them as well, especially if they outlive you. And finally, step 4 is to reframe that fear. Here's what I tell clients who are scared of delaying their Social Security. First of all, no one can predict the future. Let's get that out of the way. All we can really do is make the best decision we can with the information we have today. So instead of making fear-based decisions that may actually hurt you in the long run, create a comprehensive plan that is built with flexibility in mind. This could mean coordinating your withdrawals, bucketing your money and using savings very strategically, maybe even working part-time for a few years, not because you have to, but because it buys you a safer and more flexible future. The takeaway from all of this is don't let fear make this decision for you. Claiming Social Security early often feels safe, but it can lead to long-term regret. You're not just choosing a smaller paycheck today, you're giving up years of higher income tomorrow as well. And while the fears about dying early or the system collapsing are common and very valid, the bigger risk is actually living a long time with not enough income. So before you lock in your benefit, ask yourself, are you deciding based on the facts or based on fear? If you want some help figuring out the right time to claim based on your actual numbers and your circumstances, I would love the opportunity to support you as a fee-only financial planner. Visit my website to schedule a free consultation. And if this video helped you, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and if you have any questions regarding this topic, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.